This is a Z89 exclusive interview.
Welcome back to a Brief Intermission, the show where you can take a brief intermission from your day and get front row delivery of all of the backstage theater news right here in Central New York. For this week's episode of a Brief Intermission, we are here at the Syracuse Stage with the playwright of Relentless, which is making its world premiere right here at the Syracuse Stage. Please welcome Rae Binstock to a Brief Intermission. Rae,
Hi.
It's so great to be here with you today.
I'm really excited to be here too. Thank you so much for having me.
I can't wait to get into this show. I mean, I was doing a little bit of research before, and your story is fantastic. So I would love to hear a little bit more about your background and what brought you here to Syracuse to put this show on.
So my background, I'm from Boston. I grew up right across the river in Cambridge in Central Square, if anyone knows that. And then I came to New York for school. I was there for a while. And the story of the show is that in 2019, I've been into fitness for a long time, and I needed a new day job, and I thought that like boxing sounds fun. I'm a drama nerd. It's dramatic. Everyone
Right.
loves things about boxing. So I was like, if I get a day job at a boxing gym, it'll be a free membership. So win-win. So I reached out, and the only place that got back to me was Gleason's, which is Gleason's gym. It's the oldest gym in the country, the oldest boxing gym in the country. And they're in downtown Brooklyn in Dumbo. And I started working there at the front desk. And not only is Gleason's, did I immediately see that Gleason's was an incredibly special place that is very rare nowadays. But I started working with a trainer named Daryl Pierre, who completely changed my life, made me totally fall in love with boxing, gave me a bunch of lessons about being a person and how to live that I'm still, working with and through to this day. Was just an incredible person, and the kind of like the hub of this family and home that I found at Gleason's. And Gleason's is a family and home for a lot of people. It's a very diverse place. It's one of the it's one of the few really, it's like a way station where there's so many people of different backgrounds and ethnicities and sizes and shapes and interests, but they've all come together to work on boxing. And the amount of just like fun and family and safety that shows up there is incredible. So I wanted to write about that. And then Daryl passed away very suddenly from a heart attack in March of 2022, which was devastating, but kind of made it clear why this story especially needed to be told. And so I was working on the play with the help of my mentor, Jay Quo, who's part of Sing Out Louise Productions. And then we were looking for somewhere to do it. And a mutual friend connected me to Melissa Crespo, who's the associate AD at Syracuse Stage. And she and I jumped on a call and immediately like fell in love with each other and clicked. And from then on, we've kind of been working on this together. And the work on it was so amazing that I wanted to keep it with Melissa. And Melissa, brought it to Syracuse Stage and asked if they would be interested in doing it. And they gave the green light. And so that's how we ended up here.
That's awesome. And what have you thought of Syracuse so far? Have you ever been here before this?
I've never been to Syracuse, but I love it. I'm from New England, and New England
cold isn't that.
Oh no, I love the cold. Well, I live in Los Angeles right now, which I'm not suited for. Los Angeles is a great place, but some people really want to live there and some people really want to visit. And I feel like I'm a visitor.
I agree. I'm from New Jersey, so
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't leave the East Coast. New York, New Jersey, that's kind of
Exactly
where I know I need to be. But I would love to visit California for the warmth. I mean, get out of this.
It's
cold.
a wonderful place. I know, but I've been driving everyone crazy being like, I love the cold so much. And everyone's like, this is miserable. But I'm just like, haha. No, I love Syracuse. It's very Central New York and New England. There's a lot of like overlap. It's a diverse city. There's a lot of different stuff going on here. And of course, being around the students is really, really fun. I've had such a good time being here. And it's exactly the kind of place that a lot of people in the boxing world kind of come from, like more removed, but also with enough kind of urban center that you meet other people and you can get involved in boxing. We're working with Joe Stray. He's got a boxing gym in town. We've worked with him and he's one of the partners on the show.
Awesome.
So I've really loved it here. Everyone has been so great.
Yeah. And I know it was like started by needing a hobby and then getting a job in Gleason's, but besides the drama aspect of it, what drew you to boxing so much that made you want to turn this into a stage production, and why does both things, which are kind of so different, being theater and boxing, were able to mesh so well into creating a beautiful story?
Well, for one thing, I'd say that theater and boxing are actually very similar. They're both, in some ways, they're both performances.
True.
You know, the thing about boxing, and the reason I wanted to write about it, is it's two sides of it. There's the boxing world, which is unbelievably colorful. I mean, there's a reason that, you know, boxing and baseball have kind of been
right.
What I'd say up until recently have been like the two most like dramatically rich American sports. The boxing world is full of incredible stories, incredible people. It's an amazing place. But then the other side of it is the way Daryl taught me boxing. He made it into something that is not about, I mean, you can't take the violence out of it. The play is about balancing the fact that boxing is very violent with the kind of meditation and philosophy that goes with it, and how it can connect you to yourself. And boxing with Daryl, I mean, there's a line in the show, everybody cries on the heavy bag, which I genuinely believe is true.
Yeah.
They don't do it in front of other people, maybe, but boxing is a really intense activity that can really release a lot inside of you, and it can also channel you. A lot of people, especially young men, get into boxing because they have a lot of energy or a lot of emotions, and their families don't want them to go somewhere where that can be channeled.
Totally.
And it can be put into discipline, as opposed to something that could end up with them getting hurt or, you know, God forbid, worse. But I think boxing is also it's perfect for the stage because, you know, there's plays about basketball and soccer and football. There's plays about a lot of sports, but there really aren't that many sports where you can genuinely put the sport on stage.
Yeah.
And our actors aren't genuinely boxing. We have an incredible fight choreographer, but seeing them move their bodies and reenact these things on stage is really very special. And I think this play stands out in part because, you know, it's, even for people who know nothing about boxing, watching boxing is really beautiful, is really interesting. And being able to put that on stage elevates it.
It's like a dance back and forth.
It's very much a dance. I mean, you should see the two actors who do the most fighting in the show, Stephen Michael Spencer and David Harrison Prago, are both unbelievable athletes. David himself has been boxing since he was 12. And the trust between them and the fun they have doing it, but then how seriously they take it.
Yeah.
It's honestly, though, it's very much like sparring. It's the way that they are together when they're dancing out this choreo. I worked in a boxing gym, and I've been boxing for 6 years now. You see people doing this when they spar. It's both very intense, but also like it's playful. It's a trust thing. Everyone's on the same team.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And without giving too many spoilers, I would love to just get a background a little bit for people who may not know anything about it besides just being inspired from your home gym. But what kind of is the story about, and like where does the play kind of take us?
So the story is, the broad strokes are, it's a story about a neighborhood gym that's owned by a female former pro boxer and her coach, who is very much like the guy who raised her. It's kind of her dad, and they have what I think is a really familiar parent-child relationship, which is very codependent, but very, very constraining. And she gets an offer from a client to sell the gym and revamp it and kind of use it as a launching point to bring boxing into the 21st century. And she wants to do it because she wants finally, you know, she's had a lot of disappointments, and she wants finally to kind of have some success. And it's also a larger thing of, she wants to be in charge of her own life after having had, you know, being a fighter, and then her career ended, and she's had to train people and all of this stuff. And her coach is very much of the mind of like, keep it sacred, keep this thing amongst us. And so it's a show about gentrification. It's a show about loving someone and not wanting to let them go. It's a show about how do you grow up when you feel like you're betraying the person who raised you. And then it's also a show about conflict and the different ways we avoid it, and even though it's not a political show in any way, there's a lot that has felt very relevant these last couple of weeks, because so much of the show is about how people deal with negative emotions and what's going on in the world right now. So much of it is about people avoiding dealing with negative emotions and the insane things they will either do or say or believe in order to avoid a version of the world that hurts them. And the show is very much about, what happens when you get closer and closer to saying the thing that hurts the most and what you need to do in order to be able to bear it.
And how long did it take you to kind of put this together from start to finish?
It's been about a 4-year process. My mentor, Jay, who is an incredible writer in his own right and is an incredible producer. They have multiple Tony Awards and have been part of like Hadestown and a lot of great shows, The Notebook. I had a different script. I had a TV pilot that was very different, and it wasn't coming together. And I told him about the idea, and he was like, this could be something. Let's take another run at this from a theater angle, from a different angle, and let's try it out. And that it kind of grew out of that. And he's been, without him and the other Lorenzo and Joey, who are the other faces of Sing Out Louise, they're incredible dramaturgs, and their support has been amazing. And the same with Melissa. It's a big part of the process is listening to other people. And I've been really lucky to have other people who care enough to truly watch it and have things to say. So the best I can do is listen.
Absolutely. And did you always know you wanted to be a writer in some capacity, or how did you kind of figure out this was something that you could do and that you were good at?
Yes, I always wanted to be a writer. My father's a novelist, so I was raised by someone who was deeply in love with writing and storytelling. And I was always a theater kid and always a writing kid. And then when I was 15, two things happened. My high school theater teacher had created a playwriting club so that we could submit to like a statewide contest. And it was like me and one other girl, and I submitted to this contest and I won.
That's awesome.
And then I also read Angels in America, which is, I have an Angels in America tattoo right here.
I love it. That's
yeah.
So beautiful.
It was my first tattoo ever.
Oh, so beautiful.
My mom was like, I thought it was going to be so small. And I was like,
no.
Well, I was like, that's because I showed you the image on my phone screen. It can't be any bigger than the phone screen. But angels, there are some, I always say that it's like, when you grow up, your brain is like a house that you've lived in your whole life. And every inch of it. And then there are certain works of art or things that happen to you where once you encounter them, it's almost like you suddenly realize there was a door in the corner that you just have been looking past your whole life and you never noticed. And you open the door and it's like you realize there are all of these rooms and halls and areas in the house that is you that were just waiting for you to discover them, but you never noticed them. So between Angels being that work that made me see 1,000 different ways writing and theater could happen, and just the first time someone said, try writing the words that people say on stage. Since I was 15, I haven't really had any other dream, which is, the advice I always give to anyone who's younger than me is if there is anything that you love as much as this, do that. Anything else, because it's real hard, especially now, it's real hard to be in theater and to be a playwright. But I love it. And I not only want to make great theater, but I want to make American theater better. I want to be part of it continuing to grow and have a resurgence. So no, I've never wanted to do anything else really.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. And I get it too, coming from like the journalism standpoint too. Everyone's like, are you sure? Are you sure that's kind of where you want to go? But when you have a passion for it, and now me being able to combine that with theater, it's just like, I can't imagine doing anything else. I didn't grow up participating in theater. I grew up as a dancer, so I was just around the music and was like, I would be a dancer on Broadway. And then I was like, I don't know if that's going to work out for me. But coming back to it now recently has been so incredible. And again, it's like when you know. So I want to know, what was like the hardest part coming with this production and coming up with it, besides like having to translate it from TV to then making it into a play? But then what was that moment where you're like, this is it, like I have it? If there even was a specific moment.
I've been really lucky in that I am an overwriter. A lot of writers, you have to put everything on the page, and then really half the work of writing the thing is to scoop out what is part of a different play you want to write or what's extra until you have something that is really the beating heart of what made you do it in the first place. And I've been very lucky that Melissa and the Sing Out Louise folks have been so helpful in helping me do that. It's a new play process. So we've been doing it during the rehearsals here. It's just like cutting the repetition, cutting stuff. But I really think that this play kind of coalesced, unfortunately, with the death of Daryl, of my coach, because he was such an extraordinary person, and he did not have a life in which I actually said this at his funeral. I spoke at his funeral, and I said that there are great artists and great people who have statues and memorials and all of these things that commemorate the work that they did. And because Daryl did not have that level of fame and recognition, he doesn't have those things. And so the students that he taught, the people that he affected, we have to be his statues and his memorials. And I think that this show is not just a repose. The character based on Daryl in this is very unlike him in a lot of ways, but the deep, deep love for boxing and the way of looking at the world through it. I think after Daryl died, I felt a much stronger sense of that having to be the thing at the heart of it, that having to be the heart to scoop away, is like the love in boxing, because the love that I had for him and the losing of him really brought it into perspective.
That's so beautiful. And I know the Syracuse Stage and just the Syracuse community is really excited or even just coming from me, is so excited to see this on stage, especially with it being the world premiere here. So, but gotta ask, is there any future plans for this of where you would kind of like to see this show grow?
There's a lot of conversations happening, and we're looking into it. There's nothing nailed down next. There's not a direct, we're going here next. But, I'd love for two things. I'd love for this show to be up in New York. It's the theater capital of the country. And I would really love, and it's where I met Daryl. It's where he's from. It's where my boxing home is. And that would be a dream to have this show go up in New York. But also, I really want to bring it to other places. I want to bring it to places that people who either box or are the type of people who need something like boxing can see it. Places like Louisville, Kentucky, where Ali is from. Places like Brownsville, Brooklyn, where Tyson is from. Like Pittsburgh, and and places in like Oklahoma and Washington State. I want it to go out into the country. I want it to go to New York, and I want it to go out into the country, because that is what theater needs to be doing right now. Great theater needs to be up in New York, but we need to be pushing theater everywhere.
Yeah. And making it more accessible too is so important.
Making it more accessible and reintroducing people to what is different about it from screens. I love screens. I'm on them all the time, just like everyone else. But theater is special. There's a reason it's like the second thing humans ever created after drawing on walls. And I personally think that if you go back to what makes it special, people will fall in love with it all over again. And coincidentally, there's a line that says almost exactly the same thing about boxing in the show, because I think that's true too.
Yeah. And kind of sticking back with New York, I saw that you took the cast of the show to Gleason's to train. What was that experience like, bringing them into where this all originated from?
I mean, it's like a little kid bringing like their family to school and being like, "Hi everyone, hi," like
show and
meet them.
tell.
Yes, because these are all, I love these guys. I mean, they still, they're family. And Bruce Silverglade and June Lee, who Bruce owns the gym and June is his second in command, and they are two of my favorite people in the world. It was really funny because the thing is every character in the play is not based on specifically, but inspired by one or more people at Gleason's. And we were able to get like photos of people with like their doppelgangers. Like it's awesome. Kind of ridiculous how one-to-one this stuff was, because I really wanted, again, I wasn't like being like, this is one person that I'm just changing their name and transposing them, but these people are ridiculous. And there's so many people that I didn't even get that can't fit in the cast. There's so many people that need their own show. But it was so much fun, and the cast is amazing. They were so gung-ho about this. They were so excited to be doing it. And David's wonderful because David is a boxer, so he was helping lead people. We worked with Shatik Mitchell and Angel Rivera, who are both great longtime trainers. Tanise Johnson, our fight choreo, is a genius and also an amazing coach, and they made the experience really special. So it was a dream come true. It was one of the, I don't know if I'll ever be lucky enough to have an experience like that in theater again. It was amazing. Yeah, and it's so fun, like, to be able to do a little field trip with the cast. It's been like just such a great bonding opportunity between all of you. And when it came to casting, especially because it is partly based on your own experiences and people that you knew, what were you looking for when it came to casting these people to take on these roles that mean so much to you? We were looking for people who could be really funny, for one thing, because there's like heavy stuff in the show, but it's meant to be a really funny play, and partly because these characters are so specific. And so we needed people with the right energy and with acting chops, and we got all of them. But we were also looking for like real diversity, not just in things like, like size and color and shape and everything, but in energy. So like higher, like everything from like the most explosive end to the kind of more internal end, because that's another thing about boxing boxing's great because it can incorporate any type of person and any type of body and any type of attitude. You can have really bombastic, you can have the Alis. Yeah. And then you can have people who are like quiet. You can have, technically you can kind of have the Sonny Listons, like people who are like, do not talk. They're it, you can have all of these different ways of being, but it's important, I think, in order to really get it across, it's important to show all of these different types of people and how boxing draws them in. And so we were looking for people who were these different types. We're also looking for at least a couple people who had some boxing background. And again, with David, we were incredibly lucky. He's amazing. Stephen Michael Spencer, again, is like very athletic, and everyone, but the whole cast has been amazing in how they've taken to boxing, because most of them are supposed to have been doing it for a very long time and have never done it before, and they look incredible. So people who are willing to take on that challenge was another thing we were looking for. Totally. It's not fearless. Yeah, you have to be fearless, you have to be relentless. You have to the name writes itself. You have to know that you're going to be tough enough to get through the choreo and the physical stuff, and everyone has risen to it with a vengeance. Well, opening is very, very soon. Mm-hmm. So have to ask, kind of like as a wrap-up question, what are you most excited for to finally see this on stage and to just have it out there for the Syracuse community to enjoy right in the flesh? I think I'm just excited for it to be. Plays are not done when they are written. And in a time when it's so hard to get a play done because things are so expensive, it's hard to get people in the theater. So many plays, including from successful writers, so many plays go undone. And so they're walking around in the world like half finished. There are like a lot of ghost plays out there that haven't gotten a chance to ever come to life. And the opportunity to have it be put on its feet with this incredible set, incredible cast, incredible designers, incredible theater, and to share it with a robust, lively city like Syracuse is, I mean, I'm not a parent yet, but it's the closest I've ever come to feeling like I finally have made something that has come to life. And that, there's all kinds of things to worry about, how people will receive it. Will something go wrong? What happens next? This and that. But it is just the opportunity for it to be is everything.
Well, Rae Binstock, thank you so much for joining us here for a brief intermission. Can't wait to see this show, and congratulations. Good luck on everything here at Syracuse and wherever this play ends up going after that. But thank you for tuning in to a brief intermission, and we will be back with another episode next week.